Hey folks, it's Brian. We got to play RQG last night. So yeah. The party knew there were two of these predator cats out there. They were so focused on that one that they killed that they just ran with taking care of things that way. So the party split. Some taking prisoners to the chieftain. I put him in Swanton because Swanton's one of those bigger cities. It's on the border between the two clans, so both clans use it as their headquarters kind of thing. That's how I treated it. Although the Vermondi have an actual village, Oakton, out there, which, you know, where the herders are from, right? So, Angrelar, you know, the noble spokesman, Lars, and Arestra for security, escorted the three prisoners to Swanton to try to set up making, you know, ransom for them. The Vermondi recently had a change of leadership, which I had forgotten about. So I was running with the previous guy, which was really nice. So yeah, we'll help you out, no problem. I'll set up the stuff, we'll send it over, and we'll send it back to you. No worries. Whereas the actual current guy is nothing more than a bandit himself, and so he could care less. And they get a taste of that when they get back to him. As after I reread some of those parts, remembered that piece. So anyway, so party split. And a night goes by before the party can get back together again. Well, during that night, the second cat, the partner of the first one, goes to investigate what's going on, finds her corpse, and decides he's going to hunt down and kill these guys. And I had envisioned, okay, we've got the Berserker, the Stormbolt Berserker, who can't cast Berserker again because it's a 2-point rune spell. He's only got 3. And then you've got all these herders who've got, you know, shield 1 or 2 that they can use possibly. And so I just see this cat pouncing on the Scandor, tearing him to shreds, and then just mowing through all the rest of the poor herders. And I've got the all the PCs are playing herders. And what Subutai's there. He's an archer. He could shoot a couple times, and that might be doing something, but it's just a short bow still, so it's not really doing a whole lot against the fur of the cat. And then there's another level of stuff going on that I had debated back and forth on applying or not, and I didn't for the first fight. So I'm thinking maybe I should for the second, but then that would not be consistent. So I didn't, and that actually might have helped a couple of times. Anyway, so everything's set up. Okay, it's evening time. Who's going to be on watch? How many watches are we going to have? They get all that set up. Oh, and the live plays in the description. Although just a couple times we do stops for, you know, people have to go get something, do things, that kind of thing. We have a couple breaks, and I missed coming back on in time on one of them. So if there's some skipping going on, yeah, that's why. And then we got to the very end. I was just all discussing game stuff and mechanics and you know, behind the scenes kind of stuff that doesn't need to be involved, and I forgot to cut it off earlier, so that rambles at the end. So anyway, they're setting up. Most of them around the fire. Subutai with Giltarl, the boy, are out watching the cattle with Subutai's cat. And one of the herders is watching the horses. Skandor tries to bring his buffalo in next to the fire. He tells him no, so he takes the buffalo out, sits down and sits up for the night there. He's going to sleep with his buffalo kind of thing, up against the buffalo, that kind of deal. And that's when the cat attacks. Leaps out. I did give him a power roll because this cat is not making any sounds. So I did give him a power times 3 roll. Just, you know, the intuition, something's wrong. And he made it. So Cat attacks. He's observant enough to be able to start dodging. Swipe 1, dodge. Swipe 2, dodge. Bite, missed. Got him the right leg for 18 points of damage. And at this, everybody hears the screams and that kind of thing. So they all start orienting. We do statements of intent, which takes a while. When you're first, playing again, sequence of events, statements of intent. I do movement with that, so it's all taken care of, so you can figure out your strike ranks. And then we start going through the triangle. Okay, 1, 2, 3. A couple things happen on 1. One of the hers cast rune magic. I don't remember now which one or what. A couple of them are invoking loyalty to clan, but all of them are moving to sling, right? Excuse me. And Subutai's coming around. He's going to use his bow. Kyotaro's come with him, so they're kind of further out, but still within range. That's no problem at all. I mean, we're all on one map page. And so we start going through strike ranks. And so there's the rune magic and some other stuff on. Oh, I had to retcon something for a Scandor in making a roll. I forgot what it was he rolled. Or maybe I just gave it to him. That he could see in the eyes of the cat there was an intelligence. There's something there. So that comes out a bit later as there's more discussion as the players, deviate, spread out information. Strike rank 4, the cat shakes him around, does another 15 points of damage. Probably should have done more, but I just did his damage bonus. And then it's dropping him and is going to start looking around for this next target. Strike rank, I think it's like 8 or 9. Maybe I should have the cat move around more or something. Well, he would have to change options, which is 5 strike ranks later, so we're at 9. So at that point, that's when all the firing starts happening. People slinging stones, firing arrows, that kind of thing. Subutai with the bow goes first, and he got a special. He got an impale on the cat in the head. He was doing an aim shot. Went all the way to 12. Cat should have done something. And that brings up a question on, do animals, some animals in bestiary have a dodge, others do not. Shouldn't all animals be able to dodge kinds of things? Or for that matter, a parry. If you're spearing at a cat, it's going to paw it out of the way. Admittedly, it's going to be hitting the shaft and not like if you're doing with this, swing with a sword. It's not going to necessarily swing at a sword kind of thing. If you're backing out kind of deal. But still, there's that. Are those options available to him? But anyway, he did aim shot to the head. There's some discussion here about, okay, since aim shots go at strike rank 12, does doing movement and stuff up until that point adjust that? And my rule was, hey, if you can make the shot during the round, you can make an aim shot, do it at 12. So you can move around. There's some stuff there. It's kind of iffy, but strike rank 12. Well, there's a couple slings that went out, a couple miss. Yeah, a couple slings and they miss. Subutai hits with the special and the arrow in the head. Did max plus roll, they rolled like a 4, so that's 5 plus 7. It's 12 points of damage. It's got 3 points of fur, so what's the fur? Oh, okay, yeah. So it knocked its head down to only had 2 hit points left in its head. But he's got plenty of hit points still. So I get a little weary, but right next to him is Hjortarl. I don't think he did. I think he may have missed. But Kara, I think her name is, one of the herders, climbed up on one of the there's lots of ruins around. There's a little wall there. She climbs up on top of the wall, and she does an aim shot to the head, which brings up a point that I was discussing with my players earlier before I actually start playing. In the aim shot section, it talks about you divide your skill in half, and then you add all your modifiers. So if you're a Hamakti with an 80% sword skill and Blade Sharp 4, do an aim shot to the head, your 80 becomes 40, your Blade Sharp 4 gives you plus 20, that's 60% on the head. Whereas we had been playing, he's 80, plus 20 is 100, half is 50. So that plus modifier thing being separate from your skill for the aim shot makes a significant difference, especially if you're doing something from the rear. I don't recall if RQG specifically has rules for rear shots. But if you're prone, you get a plus 40 to hit them. And in what's it called? In Labyrinth, which I get a lot of my house rules from, if you're prone, it's considered a rear shot, which is plus 4. Plus 4, plus 40, we got a relationship, so all the side modifiers and everything else falls into place. So you get a modifier from the rear in my game, a plus 4. So that, or plus 40. So you divide your skill in half, 80 to 40, plus 40 for rear shot, back right up to 80 to the head. That's going to change a lot of aim shot dynamics in my game from that rule reading. So she slings to the head and did 3, 4, 5, 6 points of damage. Put its head to -1. It goes unconscious. One of the herders there's got a battle axe. Oh, sorry, he did Blade Sharp. Battle axe walks there. After a few hacks, is dead. Poor cat. My murderous cat gone. Also, while this was going on, the player who was running for Skandor kind of went, oh, okay, yeah, my guy's died. I better start thinking about something new. Because he was at negative 12 hit points. Which brings up another issue. If you get hit in the chest, head, or abdomen for double or more, you're bleeding 1 per round. If you amputate a leg or an arm, no, you're not bleeding. So I'm going to start pulling that in as well. So, yeah, we're going to see about some of that. So he actually texted me. He wanted to do a Hamakti duck for his next character. And I try to stay away from the non-human characters, especially for this first game, which is actually we're on our second game now. So I'm going, okay, yeah, second game, maybe we can. If he can give me some justification, a rational reason for why a Hamakti duck will hook up with these guys, yeah, I'll let him have that. And there actually is. As soon as I said that, I go, oh, yeah, there is a way. Will he think of it? We'll see. But anyway, they managed to save him. Okay, cat's dead. They all jump on Skandor, and we're going through the first aid rules because there's a first aid rule about keeping somebody from dying. Stabilize them for a D&D 5e term, right? And I'm looking at first aid in the game section. No, in the combat section. Other players look at first aid in the skill section. Why they're in two separate places and have different readings is another issue. So I'm reading where it's, okay, yeah, you can stop bleeding with first aid. Got it, not a problem. I don't see anything about keeping them from dying, though. And I've got house rule where the spirit leaves the body after a healing rate in melee rounds. So if you got a healing rate of 3, you're below 0, you're dying, whatever, round 1, round 2, round 3, okay, spirit's gone. Now you got to do resurrection or a hero quest or something, right? So they've got 4 rounds essentially to stabilize him. And so they do first aid. They're doing first aid on him. It took 3 rounds to do that stabilization thing. So, okay, she tourniqueted off his leg because it's completely mangled. And then they start bandaging it up. He gets a few hit points, two wounds, so 2 first aid rolls for healing, for wrapping up wounds. Got a few points from that. And then they spend half of their magic points worth of healing spells to get him up. You got to like +3. But it's nighttime. He's going to sleep through the night. In the morning, he'll wake up with 3 hit points. everybody have their magic points back at that point, and then they can, do some more healing, that kind of thing. But his leg is completely useless. So there's all this. Okay, so how can we save this guy? Where can we get a heal body spell? There's also a regrow limb. There is also a limb healing spell as well out there. So there's some of that discussion going on, but they want to track on this cat. They want to find out where it came from, make sure there aren't any more. So next morning, they're taking care of camp. The rest of the party shows up. What's going on? They exchange information. Vaskander talks about, this thing was intelligent. It knew what it was doing. It was out to get me. So, okay, we need to hunt this thing down. So they do some tracking, and he can find the tracks. Well, he makes his roll. But they notice that the cat made a beeline from west of camp a certain distance, and then there's that leap right to the guy, right? So it was a beeline to him. It had circled around the camp halfway, starting about where the cattle would have been. Coming up towards the cattle, he's starting to spook the cattle, so he moves around, keep away from the cattle, kind of thing. And then it's got a track that goes back to where the first kill was done, where they killed the first cat. And then from there, they track back to, okay, found the hills. There's a handful of carcasses there. None of them were tribal cattle. They were all clan cattle. And so they start tracking, okay, where did this come from, go out? Is there any other tracks here? Some of the players are still concerned that the Orleving may have been involved with the cats. And they confessed that under the truth spell anyway. But no other tracks here, but there's the cat tracks that go out. So they go back to the herders, convince Yotarl to help them just double check by backtracking the previous places where they were killed. So he takes them out there. The first day they hit 3 of the spots because, herding the cattle, they're not like going to a cattle drive. They're just feeding. They got to move a little bit at a time so they don't wipe out entire pasture land. But yeah, they are moving, but not that fast. So hit 3 of the spots. The first day, on one of them, they were able to find tracks and tracked it back to an outcropping on one of the hills where, that was large enough of an overhang to provide shelter for some large animals. And they do find some cattle remains there as well. Also all clan, not tribal cattle. There's some discussion on how many cattle were killed. I'd forgotten how many I told them, so I told them this time that there were 12, based upon new information that I learned in the previous intervening times I stayed up on cat hunting and attack factors or features. So the next day, they go along, 2 more attack places. That's not right. The last one of the third also went back to the same place. Next day, they hit 2 more places, but it's been too long, too much rain. They can't find any tracks on anything. So they get Yortarl back to his place, back to the herders. And the party packs up and heads to Swanson to check out with the chieftain. Okay, we got the second cat. They're both dead. We checked out everything we could find in tracks and found where they had staged themselves. Here's proof of the cow they killed. But yeah, we killed those 2. They're gone. We couldn't find any signs of any other ones out there. So he says, good to go. And then they ask about the ransom. He said, oh, that'll be a while. The prisoners have gone out. It'll take a while to get to 2 Ridge 4, arrange for the ransom, and then have the ransom come back. I'll get down to Clearwine for you. And then one of the players kind of mentions about, hey, you know, if you can stay on your sort of boundaries, this kind of cross-boundary stuff won't happen. And he goes, those Dan Evelyns, I'll stay on my side of the board when they stay on theirs. The bandit came out. Wow. So, they head back to Clearwine. And that's kind of where we ended the session. There's lots of whole discussion about my gameplay for 20 minutes. Sorry, guys. Running my world, I need to have some kind of rational mechanism on the power levels in the world. For my fantasy trip game, it was easy. You rolled your age. I gave you so many points, and it's like every 2 points is a level. So you convert things over. So, you know, the average person in my fantasy trip world was 4th level. Beginning characters aren't 4th level because they're not as old as the average population is, right? But trying to figure that out for RQG has been driving me nuts. I finally came to consideration recently that, okay, PCs are 3rd level. They've sacrificed 3 points of power. That's kind of the guiding line. How much power have you sacrificed? That's your level. But there are other things that come in consequence to that. You know, there's skills. And I've got a mechanism. I've been working with different mechanisms of calculating out lesser and greater experience stuff for my NPCs and monsters and things to make some kind of sense, because it started out way too powerful initially, and I've got them down to where I think this number I have now works fairly well, because the average level is 0. The average person is 0 level. They are lay members. They have not initiated. You know, special people initiate into a cult when they initiate into adulthood in my world. My Glorantha, right? So not everybody initiates into a cult when they initiate into the clan, into adulthood. But it's still a magical transformation. Things happen. I've got other videos on that. I won't waste time here. You know, special people initiate into a cult. They're called by the gods during their cult, clan adulthood initiation. Orlanth summons you, you know, that kind of thing. The gods choose you. You don't choose the gods. Now, once you're out in the world playing around doing things, you know, hey, I like this Babista Gore chick. She's pretty badass. I'm going to go and get involved with her secrets and see how I can help her out. She can help me, kind of thing. So that kind of initiation does happen after adulthood. You know, that happens. But the PCs, they're special, initiated during adulthood, so they've been, you know, initiates, you know, 16 to 21, 5 years, something like that, right? And so they get all this stuff for how old they are and how long they've been involved. Well, another part of that is the fact that you've not only got skill training that you've been doing and experience, you've got stat training and experience you've been doing as well. So I give them either 3 stats, increase 3 stats by 1, or 1 stat by 2. That kind of gives that previous experience kind of stuff, giving them to 21. But certainly helped out a couple of the players. And there's a whole sidetrack of that going on. I was actually hoping to get the end of season phase for water season, spring. But with all this chasing around, making sure there aren't other cats out there, kind of sucked up that time. So we'll start off our next game session with that end of season phase and a worship ceremony for Lars, the Lankermai. But also, because this extra points these characters now have, someone put them into power and are looking at sacrificing different spells. And Arestra, the Babista Gore, has access to heal body through Ernalda. The problem is rune spells are specific to the temple itself. How many temples to Babista Gore are there in Dragon Pass? I have found none in any of the published materials. Shrines, yeah. Lots of shrines apparently everywhere. You're obviously going to have a shrine with every Ernalda temple, and every clan's got an Ernalda temple. But where's, you know, is the Clearwine Earth Temple large enough, it's a major temple, to rate a barracks of a beast of gore. In the book, no. There's a shrine. Now, it makes sense that there's probably more than just one specific shrine in the temple. I think I gave it like 2. I was initially going to give it 3, but I cut that down to 2. No mathematics, don't worry about it. So I assigned one of those to have Heal Body. It makes sense. It's an associated spell. The Beast of Gore, or not the temple. That makes sense. And I think the other one, the other shrine gives shield. And actually, a Beast of Gore temple, you're going to have to go to Note Jet for it. That's where you're going to find an actual Beast of Gore temple, where you get all the rune spells. You've got barracks of these ladies. So yeah, and I don't have a problem with it. These unique specialist cults, there's a balancing social factor. Not everybody is Humakti. Not everybody's Beast of Gore. Not everybody's Stormbolt. Pretty much everybody's Orlanth or Ronaldo, though. So if you're in Ronaldo or Orlanth, you've got temples everywhere. Your spells are easily acceptable. If you're one of these specialist ones, though, you're going to have to travel to get your spells. The closest, there are shrines to Stormbolt around, yes. You know, how many different sorts, I mean, did they plan this out, that this shrine does this spell and that shrine does a different spell, so you've got all the spells throughout all the shrines? No. So my Stormbolt guy who wants to get some spells, he actually wants to get an associated cult spell, he's going to have to go to the block. That's the closest Stormbolt temple. In fact, that's the only temple to Stormbolt that I'm aware of from the published materials. If I'm wrong, let me know, please, because I'd like to flesh that out. I've got a spreadsheet of locations, who's primary owner of that temple kind of thing, what clan, and then is it a great temple, a major temple, a minor temple, or just a shrine? Yeah, there are shrines everywhere. Shrines hold one rune spell, one special rune spell. Actually, it takes a major temple to have all the common rune spells, which surprised me reading through that this morning. So your minor temples don't even have common rune spells, they just have special rune spells, according to materials. I'm not so sure about that piece, but hey, we're hitting almost 30 minutes. Sorry, guys. Thanks for listening to my ramble. Happy gaming.